morning to everybody. We still have some latecomers. A lahko malo manj eha. Če je lahko manj eha. Yeah. Okay. No, it's better. So, I'm delighted to welcome you also officially today in this Synergy project. And as we have guests from all the region, from former Yugoslavia and also Albania, we will speak in English to understand each other. But of course, if somebody needs translation, we are always on disposal to translate to any of languages except Albanian. I'm sorry, I don't speak Albanian, but I would like to speak it maybe someday. Today we will have 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon. They are just bringing me the schedule, not to do some mistake. Thank you, Marusha. And I would like to present you Mr. Andrej Drapal. He is the founder and director of Consensus Company. We work together since '91, spring. And wherever he is in the house, that means that we have troubles.
Oh no.
Different kind of troubles, but you will see, because with no, I should say, challenges, not troubles, with no challenges, there is no progress. And that's why our job is so interesting. But before we go to this, I just would like to do a roll call. Please, everybody take a mic. Marusha, start please here on the right. And say who you are, from which festival or organization, and what you are doing here. Start with Tina, please.
Hi, everybody. My name is Tina. I work in PR for Festival Ljubljana.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jelena Janković-Beguš, and I'm producer of the Belgrade Music Festival in Belgrade, Serbia.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Milica Kadić, program manager of the Belgrade Music Festival, Serbia. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Aleksandra Bakić, and I'm an organizer at Firm Belgrade Festival Center. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Teja Firjancic, and I work here in the program office at the Festival of Ljubljana.
Hello. My name is Mirja Tapor. I work for the Dubrovnik Summer Festival as an off coordinator of the off program. So that should be it.
So stop. Do we have some razkužilo? Wait, we have to clean the mic, otherwise you never know in these days how it goes. Yeah. It's Karol, skuš tega. Mikrofon našpricite. This is also very useful for us because some of our girls are also first time doing this, and it's also a good lecture that you have to think also about the health and all other aspects of such a meetings. But I think until end of the day, we will be all healthy. And so, Marusha, now please have it with you, the sterilization liquid. Tukaj, gospodična.
Okay, hi everyone, I'm Shega Shkodra. I am part of, I come with Kosovo's Shopping Association, respectfully the Chopin Piano Fest Prishtina. I work as communications there, and here I'm going to be a part of the research group also.
Very welcome.
Hi, my name is Victor Varushi. I'm the executive producer of KotorArt Festival and one of the project managers of Synergy.
Okay.
Hi everyone, I'm Sara Mandic, production and development manager of KotorArt Festival and also one of the, or the first one, managers of Synergy project.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Katja Pugovic. I work in a program office of Festival Ljubljana, and I'm also one of the members of the research group.
Sono Yusuf Beshiri, direttore di Festival Vox Baroque in Albania.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Tringa Siceca. I am the researcher for the Vox Albania, Vox Baroque Albania. Looking forward.
Hello, everybody. I'm so pleased to be in Ljubljana after such a long drive that we had from Vienna, but it was worth it to meet all of you here. I am the festival manager of Chopin Piano Fest Prishtina, a project of the Kosovo Chopin Association, and manager also of the first opera festival that started in Kosovo this summer, actually, with one of the very famous tenors, Ram Ljahaj, who is the winner of Placido Domingo Operalia.
Hello, everybody. My name is Spela Draxler. Welcome in Ljubljana. I work in a personnel department. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Poluna Žvan. I work in finance department here in Festival Ljubljana.
Hello, my name is Samantha Reich and I work in PR and marketing office in Ljubljana Festival.
Hi, I'm Anja. I also work in the marketing office of Festival Ljubljana.
Hello, everybody. My name is Nina, working for Festival Ljubljana, and I'm a local coordinator for the project Synergy.
Hello, my name is Vanda. I work for Festival Ljubljana in marketing and cashier.
Hello, everybody. My name is Marija Nikčević from Montenegro. I'm from KotorArt Festival from Montenegro, of course, and I'm very glad to be here today with all of you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Adam Muzafirovic, and I'm working on the technical department of the Festival Ljubljana.
Hello, my name is Vesna. I'm working at Festival Ljubljana in the program office.
Hi, my name is Nusha. I'm working on Festival Ljubljana in marketing department.
And Dubrovnik.
Hi, I'm Katja, and I'm working in marketing and PR department.
So, and Marusha.
Hi everyone. My name is Marusha, and I also work for the PR office of Festival Ljubljana. Nice to meet you all.
So, my name is Darko Brlek, and I am working for the festival also. And I presented already Andrej Drapal. So now just to do a short presentation of what we do in last years. Maybe we can see the short movie. It's only 1 minute, don't worry. I hope with no technical problems. Okay, so this was this. 91 events in 10 weeks. And we planned it during the total lockdown. So when we planned it, we didn't know what will happen, but finally happened everything. So, but now we go to the subject because, you know, to do such a program and to do any program, you need money. This is very simple. Because it's, even with love, they say love is enough, but it's not. It's just for start. And then if you want to keep the love and continue, you need money, of course, again, and love too, but without money it's difficult. So, financial sustainability, this is something very interesting. But to project the financial plan, you should know first who you are. Are you non-governmental association, or governmental, or city festival, or private festival, sponsored by private sponsors? What you are. And then you have to know also what is your goal. What would you like to do? Performances for children, or I don't know, pop music, ethno music, classical music. And then you have to do also research, which is most difficult usually, where you are. We all think that we know where we are. But usually we don't know where we are, even we don't know our history 30, 40 years ago very well. So, to do a good financial plan, you have to have all this in your mind. Secondly, when you decide what you will do, then you have to select stakeholders who you can address. Is this city? Is this state? Of course, in our field, you always have to work with, unfortunately, with politics. But we have to, we can't avoid this. And, you know, some period there is one party on top, then we have elections and another, and so on. So how to convince all or majority of them that they trust us and they decide about public money to be invested in what we do. Then, when we do the programming, we also have to think who is coming to see our performances. Are these young people or middle-aged people, students with not a lot of means, or very wealthy people, or very well situated? So this is all very important. And then, what is the most crucial issue of any financial plan of our institutions is program. But if you know what you want to do, then this is not so difficult part. It's much more difficult, but it's crucial, is the base of any financial plan. But then comes real work, how to do the founding, where to get the money, from public sources, from private sponsors, from box office, and so on. That's why you can see we have so many people in marketing and PR. It's really, because when you do this, then you have to spread it all over around. And we are a small country and small city. Ljubljana has only 300,000 people. And we do much bigger festival than for 300,000 people city. We do festival, let's say, for the pool of 5 million people. And of course, then we have to attract these people also to come, but they are not living in Slovenia, so they have to come from abroad. And they are coming. They are coming from Austria, they are coming from Italy, they are coming from Croatia, and many other countries also. But mainly this. So, financing, it's, as you know all, very difficult, because everybody is thinking that if they are investing to the culture, first of all, they don't think that they are investing, but they are just giving money. And of course, this is not true. We all know there were many researches done that every euro invested to the culture comes back to the GDP 4 times. So if Ljubljana city invested this summer something more than 4 million euros, the all revenue which will come back will be 16, but not to the festival and not directly to the city, but to the all who are working directly or indirectly with the festival for 3 months. That means technicians, taxi drivers, small shops, hotels, restaurants. All kind of incomes are because of one event on the Congress Square or here in Križanke, where you can see we are building a new roof. It will be finished in end of the year or beginning of next year, or in Cankarev Dom, and etc. Not mentioning that we are ourselves hosting more than 4,000 people every summer, and they have to come in, they have to fly in, of course. So this is really big industry. And when do we have already the report, Marusha? Should be yesterday. But call them, please. I need it now because I would like to show them. I need it at 12. Okay, but then, because this is the book which is issued in the beginning of the festival. But then please bring me last year report. And then now we will issue, it should be yesterday, but obviously will be tomorrow, but this is always can happen with technical problems. But then we issue the report, very simple, about this. And we send it to all the sponsors, to all the stakeholders, to everybody, to the city, to the parliament, and here you have those who are giving money. They are all very important, of course. And you have to contact them and persuade them why they should give money to the culture, not to the sport. Yes. And secondly, why at all to participate in any event like this? Okay, so now, thank you. So you see, and this is the report. This is last year, this is 68. But also was, everything is here, what happened. And this is our identity card for next year. We go to the city, to the politicians, to the sponsors, to media, and we say, look, this is the package of this year, and the next year will be the same or even better, and of course, more expensive. Yeah, this is like this. So, but to achieve this, don't think that it will happen in 1 year. It takes more time. It takes a lot of time, but if you are consistent, and if you see what is your goal on the end of the tunnel, then, of course, you have, let's say, 51% possibility that you will succeed. But this is enough. It's only 1% which is deciding. It's either 50 and nothing, or 49 you lose, or 51 and you win. And that's it. This 1% is the most important issue. And we work for it, my colleagues can confirm, every day on every detail. And every sponsor is important, even if they give only 500 euros. But also one for 150,000 is important. And of course, the most important, it's founder, this is City of Ljubljana, with 4 million euros, and so on. And every visitor is important, buying tickets. And then finally, it is a book with trust of a lot of people and companies worth 4 million euros. That's it. How to keep it? I said many times that in the festivals we first see the changes in the society. Other institutions like philharmonic orchestras, operas, even drama theaters, which should be the first, in my opinion, because of text and language, they don't act so quick than we do. Also, the festivals, we have this lack or difficulty that we have to do everything in a strict period. You know, I usually say that it's like war, and we start on the festival with the opening, and then we go until end, and we count that in the end. In between, you don't have time to work with the things which were not good for past. No, because you have already next event next day and next day and next day, and people are waiting, and somebody lost the ticket, somebody has no visa, and things like that. So we have to think in advance, and then in the end of the festival, 2 weeks after, because everybody is very exhausted after the festival, 2 weeks after, then we think where we failed, what we could do better, why this happened, how can we avoid, even if it was not our fault, this in the future, and things like that. And then we go back again, doing new plan for next year. Program is done already, waiting this report, which will be sent to everybody, not today, but tomorrow, hopefully on Thursday. And then it's a series of meetings with all responsible on the other side for the budget of next year. And unfortunately, I would like to do this, but only few companies has long-term contracts with us, but usually only for 1 year. So we have to prove our quality every year again for this year, and also to get means next year. So that's it. But because you are all professionals, we are all professionals, and you are also from festivals, I think I should stop now. What time is it? Not to be too long. Yes, it's already half an hour. And we can have a discussion about your experiences, how it's in your cities and your festivals, because every place has different environment, and this is of course also important. And what is good for here, it's not good for Prishtina, because of different societies, because of different language, because of different culture maybe, and vice versa. So this diversity we have to respect always, and the diversity of festivals is also the richness of festivals. That's why we attract audience and audiences in different places. So, what is also very important, of course, is that authorities, but not only, also audiences and sponsors trust you, that you keep your word. If you say we will have this and this, it will be such a quality, because mainly they don't know what you are bringing to the festival. They know some names, but mainly they don't. Mainly they trust you, that you are bringing something they will like, and it will be new for them, but quality. They will go home with new experience, and I think this is what is really important. So, as I said in the beginning, of course, financing is the crucial. But to do it successfully, you have to do first the programming well, and then, it's always, it's very difficult to say what is first. But usually first is idea. So it's the same with the financing. First is idea, and then of course you have to do with all your knowledge, but also braveness, because without braveness is nothing also in finances. The plan that you can do the program and you can survive also. Nobody got rich with the festival business. only in pop music, of course, but this is different story. But also COVID hit them a lot, everybody. Okay, so now what do you think? What is your vision? What is, how you feel this? Maybe we start with whom? Here, with Bemus, yes. Yeah.
Well, thank you. First of all, congratulations for the fantastic edition of the festival. It's really impressive to see that, the results and the continuity of great programming and events that you achieve each year. So I think that we are all very impressed with that. Concerning the situation in Belgrade, we can of course only share the experience of our company, which is the Belgrade Festival Center, which is the legal framework. It is the company which produces festivals for the city of Belgrade, but not all festivals. And I think that for us, the key problem that we are solving each year is actually the trust of the city authorities to give us the festivals to do them. Because in our country, Belgrade, as the capital of Serbia, is a very large city, and you have many different entities in culture, and they all compete for the share of money, which is a lot less than what you have here at your disposal. So the Belgrade Festival Center is privileged to be one of the top institutions in Belgrade, which has secured financing for the festivals. However, it doesn't come easy because there are so many administrative obstacles. When planning the program in advance, we cannot do it a lot in advance because the city budget is determined each year. So we have to wait to see how much money we are going to receive from the city as our only stable source of financing, and then adapt the programming and everything else to that fact. Of course, we have other sources of financing, such as the Ministry of Culture, various sponsors, but I think that really probably our failure is that we do rely a lot on the money received from the city of Belgrade. So for our festivals, I think that what we really try to achieve and what we are going to try to achieve is to actually continue to develop in the terms of cultural tourism that you mentioned, so to attract more people from abroad to the festivals. I think that is the biggest challenge that we are going to face now after the pandemic, and I think that we are really going to try to thrive on the fact that people will be eager to travel. This summer, Belgrade was full of tourists. but unfortunately we did not perhaps manage to capture all of them and bring them to our festivals. So I think that it will be our main challenge for the future to try to attract more people from abroad. Because even though Belgrade is a large city, you also have a very large offer of cultural content. You have, like you said, you have private sector, you have Republic-funded institutions, you have NGO sector, which is quite considerable in Belgrade. So we are all competing for the same share of market. And then classical music, which is our main field of work, is somehow, not to say the least interesting for the people, for the audience, but for the politicians, it is definitely the least interesting one. So I think that is also another obstacle that we have to overcome, and to attract the politicians and people in power, people who decide about the money, to our contents. That would be our perspective. I don't know if my colleagues want to add something.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Sorry, just a second. Can you open one more window, please? Yes. No, she will.
One of the problems we have is that our politicians want famous names to be part of the festivals, because they don't know any other, name which we want to promote, for example, or just to give chance, maybe a section for. We always need to have younger musicians, new talents, and something like that. So we always need to tell them and explain them who are those faces and who are new names, and why it's important to bring them to our festivals.
Yes, Milica is right. I think that in Serbia we are facing the fact that people always want to see the same faces. They only want to see what is, in their perspective, something secure. They are not very adventurous. So you constantly have to divert their attention to new names, because otherwise they would be happy to have the same artists year after year, the ones that they know, that they feel, they know that they are okay, even though they are maybe aging, or maybe they are not already at the peak of their performing abilities. They still trust more what they know than what they don't know. So I think that's like a part of our mentality and, of the habits of people who go to concerts.
Sorry to ask you, but do you do also educational programs? Because
Yes.
this is connected to education.
Yes, unfortunately, in the past couple of years, we haven't had so many, and we have really noticed that it has worked to our disadvantage. So this year, we have re-established the Belgrade International Cello Festival with workshops, master classes for students and all that, and we are planning to develop more on that, because it is really a necessity.
You wanted to say something, Andrej?
Perhaps just a few words. I think it's good to have a discussion. I've prepared something, but I can show it later. What I want to say, just to position myself, because Darko started with identity, it's very important. So I'm branding specialist. I created, let's say, I Feel Slovenia brand and many others. And as Darko said, working fortunately with Darko from 91, I'm learning from him, basically. I mean, yes, I'll show that later.
I hired him to learn from him.
Yeah. So that's why we have discussions. So we both benefit. So at the moment I'm in branding, but just as a curiosity, in 86 and 87, I made first festival, Yugoslavia with the World. At that time, I was working in Cankarjev Dom as a head of theater and dance, not music. And that was really the first festival that brought foreign managers to Ljubljana to see what's going on here in at that time Yugoslavia, and I had really painful experiences at that time. I was not, I brought excellent program to Ljubljana, but I had no audience. So I don't consider myself as a successful programmer, because as you said, and as Darko is really a proof, success starts with the audience. If there is no audience, you are just walking around and begging for money. It's the question how to show sponsors and your other city or national authorities, politicians, that they are really benefiting, not just giving you money. So that's the crucial moment where Ljubljana Festival made and Darko made this difference. Now they are, in the very beginning, you had to walk around and beg, I can say so, you know.
I never.
No, you didn't beg.
I never did this, but just to say that it's not Darko, it's not me.
No, yeah.
It's team of people. My task is to create the team. And then we can work, because nobody can do everything himself. This is not possible. And then you create the team, and you have to trust the team. Even when I don't show it, I trust to my team, even if I'm not very happy with something. But this is another thing. This is because I know that it could be even better or much better. But it doesn't mean that I don't trust, because if I don't trust, they are not here. It's very simple. So please.
But what was really, okay, audience. Audience is important for two reasons. Not only that you show your sponsors that, that audience is going to see their logos or whatever, but also because this is additional source. And when you mentioned that you are so dependent on Belgrade, and most of festivals are having these problems, that they are depending on only one source. This is killing situation. You have to have various sources. And, okay, audience, authorities, and then you have sponsors. What I believe was one of very important changes in the mindset of Ljubljana Festival, and we had long discussions about that, was to change the self-perspective from organizers of event to a festival. This is a huge difference. And this one is really important, especially for sponsors. Because if they see this as a social opportunity, and festival should be a social opportunity, then it's much easier for them to see benefits. And at this time, they really see benefits. How do they see benefits? Because they meet sponsors like them in the environment that Ljubljana Festival created. It's really social gatherings that Ljubljana Festival is now organizing is so important. And now the situation is that sponsors are asking festival if they can join. It's not all of them. It's still hard job that has to be done with everything that Darko mentioned. But there is this change from 49% to 51%, that Darko mentioned. And it is a festival, it's a place where you feel that you are on the festival and not on the event only. Because everybody can create events, but not everybody can create a festival. And that's such a huge difference. And it also, of course, it's then easier to explain all benefits to local authorities like that I mean, because Darko said all elements, all the team has to work, but you have to, the whole team. But you have to understand also that the team is only a part of the large puzzle. So you have to understand that the team are all elements from visual to how artists are feeling. That was one of key elements that we started to also emphasize in branding and in communication, how artists are feeling when they come to Ljubljana. And for that, the team is extremely important. And they all feel excellent here. They come here, and I'm sure that you get them for lower price for that reason as well. Because they feel well, and the word spreads around. And everybody from the team is really eager to, to help them to feel good. For that reason, we've developed a kind of formula, what are really key important elements of Ljubljana Festival brand, and those elements has to be seen through communication, through personal attitude, and this is this symphony, this is this orchestra that has to be aligned and orchestrated and conducted. I mean, of course, orchestra is important, but conductor is, we know what's the role of conductor. Well, I'm jumping from one topic to another. You mentioned, that you are all playing on one playground of resources. This is one very important obstacle in marketing. You have to understand that the sponsorship market is, you think it's this, but your role is to expand it. I mean, if you just play on the existing market, you struggle. I mean, I don't know if there were any analyses done in Slovenia, but when Ljubljana Festival started, the sponsorship market was like that, and now is like that, due to efforts and work that was done by Ljubljana Festival. So not only Ljubljana Festival gained, but also other cultural organizers are gaining, because sponsors see the success of Ljubljana Festival, and this goodwill is transferred from festival to whole cultural scene. So the market is expanding. So you have to search. So this is egoistic, but also you do something for others with that. And Ljubljana Festival did it. I would say again, and I'll conclude then this part, that not mainly, but crucial moment was really when I mean, Ljubljana Festival always was very good organizer. It was a sense of festival here, but it was not in the heads of the team so very much. They were too much focused on events. Let's go, we are event organizer. And with this change, you know, that is also, you know, seen through this visual that was designed 2 years ago due to COVID, you know, but it has another symbolic element, and that's it. Let's gather together. I mean, it's a social event. There are people. I mean, it's not artists. Okay.
Sorry. It was created and decided during first total lockdown. On Zoom.
On Zoom, yes. I mean, that was crazy.
Before last April or March, I think. March.
What is also important, and I know this from business, I'm working with large companies and blah, blah, blah in Slovenia, and with large festival, which is 4 million euros, that's fairly large, yes. So what's important, even in more serious business, is to be crazy. You have to surprise. So much more in culture, of course. I mean, but not artists that are surprising. They should. But you as organizer have to surprise. And how do you surprise? I mean, you have to be kind of unpredictable, you know, challenging. That attracts. A little bit crazy. Why not? Not why not. You have to be. You have to aim higher. I mean, I know I was not at those meetings, but Darko sometimes says how those meetings with Ljubljana mayor are taking place, you know. He expects he would come with lower expectations, and then Darko comes with completely crazy expectation, financial. I mean, it's really crazy. Another excellent story was from the very beginning when he started in Ljubljana Festival. After fairly successful manager before of you, I mean, it was very nice local festival at that time, you know, with a budget of
200,000 German mark.
200,000 German mark when Darko started, and now it's 4 million. He can tell more, but one important story is that is really important is that immediately when he started, he raised prices for 100% of tickets. And everybody in the team went crazy. They said, "What are you doing? That's wrong. Nobody will come. We will lose audience." What was the result? They gained audience. Of course, already, I mean, some changes in the program occurred, so, you know, there was a substance, an idea behind. Tell me.
I should correct you a little bit, because this is not only what we
not
did.
Only,
The first contact with your audience is your box office. If it's nice, polite, if they serve you with informations and things like that. This is first, because they see, of course, announcements and promotion and things like that. But when either they go on website, so the website should be also friendly and nice, or the persons who are in the box office, they should be nice, helpful, and this is, and when they are hesitating what to buy, please sell them everything. This is first issue. And then, of course, second thing is when they come to the venue. If we expect them nicely, we receive them nice, if everything is fine, even weather sometimes. So, because we have a lot of outdoor events, but still, it happened this summer, rain, second half of the concert in the Congress Square, nobody left. But we were organized. We had umbrellas and this, how to say, rain coats and all those things. And we were distributing them in 2 minutes to everybody. So, for free. Next time will not be for free. We will sell here in entrance. Yeah, it's like this. So, you see. And then, of course, as I said, promise. You have to keep the promise. When they come in the hall or in Križanke, they should get what we promise them, not what they expect. Because expectations are different. But what we as festival, as, how to say, maybe even trendsetter in this field of art, promise them. And then, of course, if we fulfill what, not expectation, but that they feel, oh, I didn't expect it, but this is even better, or it's different, but it's good. How I couldn't see this before. Then we have them. And they will come more often. And of course, many of them are the presidents of different companies and boards and deciding personalities. And then, what is the worst thing you can do? That in the break you offer them bad wine. It's better to kill yourself immediately.
Exactly.
Or hot water, not cold, as should be fresh. Not cold, but fresh. These are important things.
What Darko is now talking, and we didn't. We didn't talk much about this. We know each other for such long times. I believe we know words of other. And Darko used the word consistency in the very beginning, and I put it there because this is the key. I mean, you have to be unpredictable, so challenging, but at the same time consistent over years. And Darko is talking all the time about this is, expression from branding, moments of truth. You know, when you come to the box office, when you enter the venue, you know, when you meet a hostess, when you go to web page, things like that. These are moments of truth when the brand, festival brand, is exposed and in contact with the audience. And you have to treat audience consistently over all moments of truth, you know. So I'll just show you the development of visual elements over time. You know, so each year a little bit different, but you know, with the same consistent, and especially in the beginning, when Ljubljana Festival was not so much on the scene, it was very important to be visually consistent over time. Now it's easier, you know. Now you can be more relaxed, still consistent, but more relaxed. So at that time we really tried to follow the line, you know. And now, you know, we can make jokes, and this joke happened overnight, literally, and the surprise was, you know, that was excellent meeting, Zoom meeting, you know, when the new designer group, they got a briefing. They've been here, that doesn't matter.
I never met them.
He never met them.
Only on Zoom.
I had a few conversations with them. I told them what festival is, blah, 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 blah. It was the beginning of lockdown. And then it was the first presentation of their work. And the whole meeting was 20 minutes long. Darko just said, perfect. And he left.
But this is entrance to Križanke. We will show it to you later. And those are, of course, people going to Križanke, but at that time, no people, nowhere.
There were no people.
I had some meetings with mayor. You cannot imagine, but you have all this, I think, experience. I was walking from here to the city hall. I didn't meet even the cat. Beautiful sunny day. I didn't meet anybody. And I, of course, went to mayor to say that we will have a full festivals on square. But nobody there.
That was in March.
That was in March. But this is, I'm talking about you. So, but to do the festival, then in 4 months, this is very short planning because of COVID. You have to have finances again. But to have finances, I have to convince the mother, the city, to plan it, that it will happen. And he said, you're crazy. No, I'm not. Look, if we do outside, we have enough space. We can do 1.5 meters distance. We will check everybody. So we can do, we are capable to do this. And then in 2 weeks, it was decision done that we do, also in total COVID, that we will do the festival, we will put the big stage. It's huge stage, as you could see. It's 20.20 meters or something like that, or 24.20 meters. And you know, even all press conferences of government were by Zoom, with no journalists. Of course, this is the best for government, any government, that you speak what you want and then you put it off. But we planned in the square, we announced the program. And I was still, we were all sitting there, distance, 1.5 meters. All presidents of the boards of sponsors came. Mayor was there. And I was still finishing program with Kaufmann and Netrebko, like this was ringing now, and was still finishing the program. But we already had, it was at June 1st or something last year. July 1st? No, July? No, it was June 1st press conference, not the opening. No. It was first press conference after guests and with journalists. We started with the festival. So you can see the power of culture and the festival is real. Festival is not only culture, he said. This is something social, more, this social platform for many things. But culture is one of course, of our products. So how is this connected? What is the theme of today? Very simple, the budget. So first we did this, then we said we will do the festival despite the lockdown, because of course there were some predictions that it will finish, but still you don't know, but you have to plan. If you don't plan, you cannot do when it's time. And then, finally we did it. And now we will keep this until this issue with COVID is over. So also for next year editions, we are celebrating 70 years festival. We will have the same. And then when COVID is over, who knows what will come next?
Yes. I mean, you have to talk also. I'll just finish with a couple of words. So for help, you know, there is a pattern of what Darko talked about consistency. So these are elements, brand elements, that you have to pay attention, you know, from functional promise, you know, like cultural event or blah, 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 to all other elements that add the flavor to the festival feeling, you know. And you have to think about competition. You were talking about competition that happens on many levels. I mean, competition is also TV, you know, for your audience. There are many levels of competition, and you have to be clear what's your advantage to each of competitors. Vision, that Darko mentioned, mission, what good are you doing what's good for society that, due to you. Emotions that you want to trigger. You know, these are 9 elements that it's good to be precise and to stick to them. Because, Darko said, I mean, when festival starts, you don't have time to think about that. That has to be imprinted in your head, you know, like when you are driving, you don't think, I mean, about triggers and all those things that you have in the car. You have to watch, you know, if there is a pedestrian. That's you know, thing that you have to do at the moment when you start a festival. So this has to be imprinted, and all moments have to be aligned with this. That's a kind of partitur. What's the
score?
Score, yes, for the orchestra. You know, and this is in Slovenian. The formula for Ljubljana Festival, it's not so important. What I just want to point out, in culture, personality is really important. The face. Artists have the face, but what's the face of festival? So, I mean, this is social event, cultural event. I mean, it's difficult to replicate Darko because he's also an artist and, you know, a kind of, he's really the face of the festival. He's not the only one, but you have to have one face. That's really important. Visual consistency, I was talking about. Festival focus, I was talking about. Price policy, I mean, I mentioned that story about the price because normal tendency in culture is, from my experience, you know, to go lower. It's not always wise to go lower because you depreciate your value with that. The price on a ticket shows your value somehow. So it's...
But just to say, even the worst thing can happen to you that you have low price and empty hall.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. So it's not the price why they are not coming or why they are coming. There are other things.
That's important difference between price and value.
Value.
You have to build value and then to adjust price to the value. And value is the value of the brand, of that formula that we were talking of, all elements that you are building up. You know, there are many zillions Darko was talking about, you know, this and that and that. All that adds the value. And if the value is higher, then it's easier to ask sponsor, it's easier to raise price of tickets. And
very good. Yeah, please. Sorry, but anybody who has question, just ask immediately.
Yes.
When we are on the subject.
I was very intrigued because, as you explained, I was just like reflecting on our journey of the Chopin Piano Fest Prishtina in Kosovo. We have 11 years. We finished in May and June. We were the first festival that opened the post-COVID. And all the people, all the sponsors were really so happy. Mr. Darko said very well that the context, the cultural, the political, the social context is very important. In Kosovo, for example, we started, how to say, the post-war period of reviving the classical music in Kosovo, because at that time, when we were part of the former Yugoslav, let's say, family, our artists were part of the institutions, and we had the symphonic orchestra, at that time, a radio, television symphonic orchestra, but it was with few musicians from Kosovo and more from the other republics and countries that filled in, but there were important festivals. Our artists took part in the Dubrovnik Festival, in the Belgrade activities and everything. Then somehow everything stopped and we had to start from scratch. We worked a lot with politicians at that time, and we still do, because wanted or not, they have the wallet at most of the time. Program, with audience, with everything. So we did that very slowly when we started with our first festival with 10 concerts. In the first edition, we had only 6,000 euros, a budget. But we brought important names at the time, like Gottlieb Wallisch, Martin Kasik, and some good pianists that were playing all over. But because they saw this as an opportunity to help an institution being built and a society getting more emancipated and culturally oriented, I think the musicians helped. We had in our 10th edition Stefan Vladar and Magda Amora, we had Janina Fjalkovska, and they all came because they saw a potential, a phase, and these internal values that we wanted to, let's say, promote with the festival. But we have all our concerts for free. We didn't have a problem with the audience. Since the beginning, every year the audience grows. Sometimes we even had the problems that people could not fit in a small hall that we have. But we tried 2 years only with tickets. But we had a problem because we are not a business institution. We have to have this fiscal, let's say, things. And then we were taking care of the older people, of the pensioners that want to come, but they don't have the means, of the teachers, then the students need to come. And then in the end, you end up of, let's say, selling the tickets only to the internationals who are there or to the sponsors. So we thought, okay, for us, it's more important to have events and the people to be emancipated, to want to come, to want to listen to classical music. So we kind of agreed with institutions that we need the funding in order that this happens, but we don't want tickets because we are not a profitable institution. But now, lately, for example, as we see with the COVID situation, there is less space in our halls and people want to come. Last edition, we had a huge demand of people wanting to come, and we were carefully trying to find a system how to make sure that everybody who wants to come can fit without even paying a ticket. We were exploring a reservation, let's say, system that people can come first come, first served, and it was very much challenging for us, more even challenging than doing the program. And so we are now in a crossroad how to do it, and I understand perfectly, like, because you feel that you're without value if you come there and you see a person like Stefan without paying a cent. But then how to move on? We don't have a proper infrastructure. We don't have a concert hall that could be saving like a box that would then make the ticket, and we would say, well, we are only putting the program. So these are, you know, the challenges that we face in a small society, although Pristina is with population with much more citizens than Ljubljana. We count now, let's say, more than 500,000 people living and working in Pristina, including the international.
And if you look around major European festivals, we have this luck. We have castles, we have this and this, and Ljubljana Festival has Plečnik here. You know, it was a huge problem now. These 2-3 years. 6 years. Oh God! You know, because Križanke will, you know, as Darko said, you know, a focus, and people, audience came here very much for the place. It is an excellent place, and now it's going to be magnificent, I'm sure. But you know, the place, the positioning, and we did in communication very much positioning of Ljubljana Festival on the venue itself. So, I mean, I would say find some crazy place, you know.
Now, because of the festivals, they will build the concert.
Yeah, but you know, that's better than nothing, you know. But let's say Rade Šerbedžija is doing this, his festival on Brioni, in a stupid house worth €1, you know. But you know, it's the story, you know. You have to have a story, exactly. With new concert hall, yeah, okay, it's better than nothing, of course, you know. But it doesn't give you so much opportunity, you know.
To all. Here we are, two guys from Ljubljana institutions. My name is Blaž Peršin, Director of Museum and Galleries of Ljubljana, and with me is Tibor Mihelič Syed, who is Director of Slovenian Youth Theatre. We will probably in our presentations a little bit present to you the institutions we are working with, and of course these aspects of financing, how to get opportunities, how to reach the audience who can help us also to finance some projects. And the first of all, of course, for me is very crucial how to organize ourselves to be present in this competitive world, how to approach to get additional financial resources for our projects, festivals, new infrastructure, and so on. Our main topic, and main topic of your work, is how to organize a festival and how to find financial resources to make it possible, in fact, to make festival, to get in touch with public, with your finance patrons or sponsors or whatever. And in this field we have a lot of free time, leisure competitors who are with us in this world. There are other cultural operators, sport, digital media present everywhere. How we will persuade people to be part of our program, how they spend their free time at your space, institution, why is your project extraordinary, that people will stop by and spend their free time. And it is not about money always, but it's about time. And of course, to finance these projects, we must have the audience, which is crucial, and how we make concepts to get in touch with potential partners, I say, not finance part, but partners in general. Because of that, it's very important mediation of your project, your aim, what kind of goals you want to achieve through media, artistic crowd, how to attract public finances, world of economy, what is your fil rouge in the project, and what is your concept, why you are so interesting for the financial support for the audience, because I think that it's a network of things. We cannot speak just in that case that I'm targeting one sponsor and I will go for him, but I must persuade him, give him a passion, which is really, really important. And passion, of course, comes out of our passion to present things, to get in touch with which concepts you want to deliver. later I will explain a little bit this with one special infrastructure project, not the project of program, but infrastructure project which is in the end the program which will be delivered. I think that it's very important to make strategic alliances. How to build it up with non-government institutions, artists, international cooperation, and future partners, of course. And if you have this kind of alliances, it's much easier to get in touch with different financial support. It is very important, of course, that you find as much as different public or private partners in financing your program. And of course, this is economic decision, and this is also a decision of your program. So we cannot divide the program and just economic part and program part. This must go one to another. And like I said before, the most important thing for persuading public investors, I mean the one who is establishing or financing your institution from public side, to give him the right reason why you are doing this. And because of that, the local community is very crucial. Not only art people who are the main partners or visitors, but to give a boost to local awareness. Why is your project festival crucial for social cohesion? To give a local meaning and to add something which is not present till now. I mean, to give something new, to deliver some new ideas, some new perspectives. A preparation of your work, concepts in local community and your visitors. I mean, visitors must be part of the system. You must in some way educate them, give them also maybe a way to think differently in the future, and that is part of your game, if I can say. The quality dimension. I mean, of course, the partners, public and private, they are seeking for quality, of course. And what is quality today in nowadays world is also difficult to say. To some part of the world is the quality something else than the other. And these are crucial moments when you make concepts. And if you make concepts, they cannot be made just for 1 or 2 years, but you must have really a strong vision what you will do next. What is your aim for your special program or facilities or infrastructure, whatever you are doing. And where is going at the end in the future? What you can change among the workers you are working with, I mean your community, your festival, your art space, whatever, or community in which you are doing your job, in fact. Like I said, I will go a little bit just to show you one project. Is this working? Okay. This was a project of old sugar mill factory, which was abandoned about 40 years, all in fact with ruin. Then it was an idea in the city of Ljubljana, and also at the beginning the state was involved, that this let's say, brown area of gray, not interesting area was having an idea to re-establish, reinvent what kind of content should be done there. So we have arrived with the idea that this should be a new art space, mainly at the beginning for visual art, but afterwards we have gone to idea that this should be synergetic space for contemporary art in general. So with this program, we have arrived to the city mayor, city council, decision makers in a way. So this was rather huge project. Value of the investment was about 23 million euros, which is for Ljubljana a big amount of money. And how to get this finance to do that? Of course, there was a big support in the local community. The state was like, we don't need that, you know, the problem in political system, middle left, middle right, all right parties are not always agreed with some projects. And then we have succeeded to get additional money from European funds. It's about 60%. This is a little photos how this looked like before. So we get about 60% from EU money, part of it from the state, the Ministry of Infrastructure, and part, of course, the city of Ljubljana, which is the owner of the building, and we are running the space. Open was 2 weeks ago, so it's really new one. If you have possibility, I suggest you to see it. It is open from 10 to 19 hours. So then, what will be the content? How we persuade everybody to get in touch with this project, to be part of it. I mean, a lot of people have said, okay, we have a lot of exhibition spaces, we don't need that, this is an additional money which will be spent in the things which maybe we don't need. So we must create a community for it. And our aim at the beginning was that this will be a space open or covered, a public space. People together, not to be there just to see an exhibition, but to spend the time, maybe to go to the library, maybe to see a concert, maybe to see the talk show, maybe to discuss about politics in some way, about social engagement and so on. So we have included about 6 focus groups in that sense. It was engaged about 36 people from different fields, NGOs, artists, institution people. So they have collaborated with us this idea. Even before that, we have made also some projects which included the local community, the schools nearby, the people who live surrounding, and of course to make some project in advance, that people will know what they will get there. So construction works begin. It was about 3 years of building everything, and by said that we have created numerous projects, international cooperation, visiting different spaces in Europe where similar projects, or let's say similar, have been done. And at the end, we succeeded to build it up. But now the things only began. You know, how we will succeed to finance this project, how we will succeed to make programs in there, how we will create a new space. And because of that, we invited also some people from abroad who will be part of our orientation board, part of our maybe also helping to get some money from foreign foundations, foreign collectors who will help us to show some exhibitions, partners in general, which are really needed in this kind of projects because this big project you cannot do alone. You must have alliances. Alliances are now in this time in which we are living in very, very important. So at the end, now we have opened a new first exhibition, and next week we will have a Indigo Festival, which was part of other space here in front of in this square. Now it will go to this space where we will host different thinkers, among them Varoufakis and Žižek will be present, Mladen Dolar, Nina Power from England. There will be some concerts with different kind of expression in music, and the title will be Mass Hypnosis. So we are living in these pandemic times with these neoliberal structures, with lies among us, and we will seek questions and answer how we can get out of this mass hypnosis now. I mean, we will hope that we will in these 3-4 days just to start with some important cues which will help us in this dimension. So, like you see, there are many places in the space where you can have different approaches of installation, visual artwork, concert, talk show. So we wanted, and also open space in front of or back of the building, where it's just a small amphitheater that can bring us occasion to bring some film on the open air and so on. So we want to create also a community which will operate with us, of course with our conceptual goal of artistic approach, but to be inclusive, no? To get in touch with operators who will help us to make the program, which will be in similar tension or idea of our position in the city, but also in international community. We must know that this kind of center, it's not present very near Ljubljana. It's not a museum. It's a platform for different kind of presentation of contemporary art, if I may say. And this was just some of the exhibitions which are now present. You can see Janet Cardiff, Marjetica Potrč, some important foreign artists, but also important domestic, different generations which are present. And I think this is it for beginning. Thank you very much.
Okay. Wow, it's so frustrating to be the last one, because usually it happens that your colleagues explain everything and you're just repeating things. Yeah, I would just ask if we can organize my presentation. Okay, cable. Well, I will just start. I have to say I was quite surprised, amazed, and also honored in a way when I was invited to share my experiences to experts that come from, let's put it mildly, quite different artistic context. Yep. Okay. Because, come on, I don't know much about classical music ecosystem, but I guess the point here is, although we come from different artistic fields, the logic and the taxonomy of performing art fields is not that different, right? Yeah, I'm very sorry, but I will have to start with some boring facts in order to give you the impression what kind of institution we are and how this specific corresponds with funding opportunities. So we are a public theater established by the municipality 67 years ago, but we are financed by the state. And that's why some of the scene called as amphibians. We have 60 people regularly employed, among them 23 actors. We present up to 300 events per year, and we produce 7 to 8 new productions per year. And this is important, half of them are co-productions. At least one is international, at least one co-production with another Slovenian public theater, at least one is co-production with Slovenian NGO, and at least one is co-production with non-theater institution, let's say movement for women's rights, environmental organizations, and so on. We have 70 performances on tour, 20 to 30 among them are international appearances, but this is pre-corona era, right? But we are slowly moving to the same numbers now. When it comes to the question, what kind of theater we practice, we are often perceived as controversial, engaged, even provocative. This is a translation, they waited for us in front of the theater. Even provocative, and these are not my words, political theater. And these labels, which de facto correspond, let's say, maybe to half of our program, because on the other hand, we are also an executive producer of state's biggest cultural education festival called Beavers. Yeah, we really cover the extremes of different productional practices. For us, as a controversial political theater, as people say, and this is probably one of the main differences between classical and contemporary art, scandals are something that drags attention and builds, usually in a positive manner, our brand also in the international context. This is the same performance, Czech Republic. Just this line of events itself, of course, we really gave it a push in social and conventional media. I will translate what they have on their shirts. It's a political movement. So they invaded on the stage during our performance. But it ended that the audience of the performance protected our actors, and at the end we were all dancing on the stage. Just this line of events itself, because of that we got another 5 festival invitations, and after 6 years this performance, it's been produced, is still touring. Actually, at the moment of speaking, right now we are in Vilnius. I'm completely aware it's almost impossible to apply our public relations strategies to your artistic field, but at the end of the day there are things we have in common. We need the art we do and produce and execute is expensive. It demands lots of people. We need funds to produce, we need funds to perform abroad, and we need funds to invite other productions and artists in our country. And I really hope some of my insights could give you some useful ideas. But as I said, be patient with me, because I will for sure explain something that you may already know, since the possibilities here are not limitless. Right? Well, it's a boring graph, but it wasn't until 2013 when economic crisis really hit our budgets, and they went down for 30%, and they never reached the same level since then. And at that time it became clear to us that we have to find new sources to finance our sometimes hermetically perceived programs, and that we will have lots of problems if we don't find a way to combine different non-public funding opportunities in order to have a sustainable productional environment. If we briefly look at our yearly program budget, it's worth around 700,000 euros, 45% ministry, 19% the city, around 36% is our own income. But there is a segment I want to focus on. I'm aware that many of you are way more successful in the context of this category, but our logic and our goal here is to combine funding sources from the funding opportunity a category we're focusing on. It's not the ticket sale, it's everything else that it's not public, right? So our logic and our goal here is to combine funding sources in a way that every production within the season contains at least 10, if possible 20% of sources from non-public sources, yeah? I'm not talking about Creative Europe for special projects. What I'm talking about is every season and every production within that season is trying to accomplish that goal. Since half of our program are co-productions, let's say, and if we do a production with Polish artists, we always address, let's say, Adam Mickiewicz Institute in Poland and Polish embassy here. 3 years ago, we invited a young talented director from Switzerland, so we applied to Pro Helvetia funding scheme, and we went to the meeting at Swiss embassy, and at the end we managed to gather 50% of all funds for this artist fee, travels, accommodation, plus we got 2 festival invitations because they were also, we didn't know why, somehow connected to this Pro Helvetia foundation. Another example, 2 years ago, we really wanted to invite a German group called Shishi Pop with one of their performances. The problem is, if you are not a festival, you're a theater, a repertoire theater, it's almost impossible to get enough funds from the ministry, which gives you maybe 2,050 euros for a project that's worth 20,000 euros, yeah? And you can earn maximum 2,050 euros by selling tickets, yeah? What we managed was to convince the group that we want them so much that they were willing to apply for the funding scheme in their country, from which we got 4,000 euros. We negotiated another 5,000 from Goethe Institute, and since we knew this tour could be arranged at the time where in Ljubljana there was another festival going on, and that this performance could be a great manifestation for their opening because they don't have their own venues, they gladly added another 6,000 euros, and the financial construction was closed and everybody was happy. I mean, the key here is to find as much contextual frames for the same project, which gives you at least a perspective to combine different funding streams for the same thing, yeah? Especially, let's say, German-speaking countries, but also more and more festivals have programs that tend to promote young drama writers of their own country. So Austrian and German cultural institutes often finance co-productions in a way that, in our case, young Slovenian theater director takes the text of the new upcoming star from Germany, and they cover costs of translation, cost of feast, and some travel costs. On the other hand, when we tour, our goal is to come back home on at least positive zero, yeah? But still we always try to earn something also. So besides the fee we get from the organizer, sometimes we try to address our national institutes in foreign country, if there are some. I mean, there are Skica in Vienna and Slovenian Cultural Center in Berlin, and also embassies or consulates in this country, which gives us more chance that we turn the fee we got from the organizer to us as a profit and not only as a cash to cover our expenses. But it must be stressed that in vast majority of cases, these institutes, they don't cover intellectual work. They don't cover fees for artistic execution, but they cover travels, transport, accommodation, sometimes venue rental, and of course, sometimes they invite you for a drink. Some of the the best case scenario is they give you funds and they don't care how you use it as long as you have all invoices in place for the project. And some of the institutes, they don't really, I know it's impolite to say that, but they don't know much. If, for example, the chief of an institute is a specialist for fine arts, there are always ways to persuade him or her that we as a acclaimed public institution want to invite a contemporary dance upcoming star from their country whose work needs to be presented in Slovenia, and that he or she will collaborate with our artists, and it almost always works. Another financial source within the category we're interested in is, of course, sponsorship and donating opportunities. So considering the specific profile of our theater, you can imagine we can't convince companies based on an argument of masses. I mean, some of our performances can take maximum to 100 people per performance. We cannot convince them on a basis of elite, luxurious event with a fancy catering which attracts politicians, influencers, which is an argument that maybe Darko can use. Hi, Darko. So we need to convince them with a story that they can identify with and the social importance of our project can produce. I'll give you 2 examples. In 2015, we decided to do a performance based on the life story of a unique Slovenian skier, Rok Petrović. By the way, this performance is still alive, and we still do a couple of reprises and local tour each year. Among many we addressed, there were 2 companies. One was Stopper, which in the 80s was the biggest sport clothing company in the Balkans, but we knew that they own old clothing artifacts that we could use. They gave us material, some of their human resources, something extra in cash. We gave them to our actors so they made a promo campaign for the new collection. We addressed another company which was at the time developing a patent for ski simulators. So they give us unique parts for set construction. With this we managed to cover 30% of all funds needed for the production. Last year we did a performance about the history of Paloma factory, which you might know by their products, because we need these products every day. Since we had an idea for the set to be constructed out of the toilet paper raw material, of course we called them. And at the end we managed to get 20,000 euros worth of material. We got lots of toilet paper that we still use in the theater, not for the set, but for us and for the audience. And we got another 5,000 in cash, so, which was almost 40% of the whole budget for this performance. Of course, there's another example, which is not that they give you just cash and material. Let's say Triglav is the insurance company. They have a sponsorship scheme for young talented musicians. I mean, Darko, you're probably using that. But they lack the context to promote these young talented artists. So what we did once was that we wanted to invite a young contemporary dancer from Austria, and we got an idea to pair it with a young belly dancer that was supported by Triglav Insurance Company. And we also called Austrian Cultural Forum, and the combination of these 2 sources allowed us to realize the event that bear no direct cost for our default budget. Yeah, it was just the combination of these 2 sources. Yeah, there's some photo. As you see, it's toilet paper everywhere. At the end, I will try to spoil everything good I said today, but deep down we all know, even for a really good project, things in vast majority of cases can happen and move when a string pulling principle is used with people that have connections, with people that have personal connections, with the people who make decisions. The phrase string pulling itself has a negative connotation for sure, but I think you know what I mean. And also for that reason, 7 years ago I employed artistic director who studied and worked in Poland. That's why we had good connection with Adam Mickiewicz Institute. And I employed a dramaturg who studied and worked in Germany, so we got good connections with Goethe Institute and so on. And these alliances are still functioning for us. Yeah, we collaborate every year with them. I mean, the synergy of our connections allowed us to enter conversation with right people and open new opportunities for our theater in international field. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your eyes and ears, and enjoy the rest of your time in Ljubljana.
Okay, now maybe just to add something, Tibor was much more concrete. I was speaking maybe more in general, and by side, of course, this project of Cukrarna. I must emphasize that very important in this financial context of working in the institution, festival, whatever, like culture operator, is that you have in mind that you must not search for the money at the beginning. I mean, I have just in mind money I need and I will go for it. But you must be patient and make possibilities to slowly approach to the point. I think it's very important that you cannot persuade someone, come on. I mean, sometimes, Darko, it could happen, but but sometimes really you must be doing like Tibor was saying and before, strategy, alliances, what do you think, what is your concept, what the person you are speaking with have in mind, what is his background, how he feels in your local community, if he's a stranger, a foreigner, how you feel with maybe some incorrect questions you are posing to him, to be a little bit sometimes also provocative. Maybe we think a lot that these people who has possibility to help you in financial terms are not so clever, but it's not true. I mean, sometimes they are really open-minded. You have a lot of them who are close-minded, but some of them could be really interesting persons who can be your partner, not only to giving you financial support, but to give you some other dimensions which are in public sphere very, very important. I mean, just to add this, some of these maybe mirrors we should look in, and then you can see yourself how other person is looking at you. So this is also very, very, let's say, concrete advice. Yeah.
Hello. Yes. So, thank you both for this afternoon. You know, I should tell you that we didn't have even one preparatory meeting with the speakers. Just to tell you how deep we know each other. I exactly knew what they will present, and to see the different fields of the culture. In Ljubljana is not only Ljubljana Festival, but it's just next door. The City Museum and Galleries together with Cukrarna. It's Mladinsko gledališče, and many other theaters and concert halls and things like that. So Ljubljana failed 2 times to catch the European Capital of Culture. But luckily, because all the capitals didn't do the program. Ljubljana did the first program, and now we are starting the second. And this is the advantage. Despite that we are not culture capital, we are doing the program which was adopted by the city council. This is the difference. And here you can see 2 gentlemen having a great experience, but also the vision. You know, of course, if he invites the government, first police will come. I'm talking about Tibor. This is like this with the theaters, and the text they don't like, but it should be there all the time. And yes, in this little town, we do the great culture, but of course, as we are talking about financial point, money is needed. And I can tell you a joke. You know how young Rockefeller did the fortune? The first million. He bought 1 apple for 50 cents, and he sold it for $1. And then he bought more apples, and he sold them for $4. And you know what happened then? His father died, and he got all the fortune. So it's like this. in this. But we have to struggle every day for every euro. We have to pay our artists, we have to pay our engineers, and we have to have the vision that we give to the politicians, that they create concert halls, cukrarna, theaters, and things like that. And I think this is our main role. You know, audience, of course, it's very important, and they bring money to us, but still, the vision. Not the vision, the vision. Thank you.
Now it's finished, huh? How many years it took?
Building 3 years, preparing the system and everything together 6 years.
And the whole cost was 23 million?
23 million euros, yes.
And how much, how big?
Space, it's about 5,000 square meters. And among that, we have about 1,800 spaces for exhibitions.
Mm-hmm.
Then for concerts, a special hall, open inner space which has a roof about 28 meters high. So it's a space also for events, for receptions.
So it's a kind of mixture, universal.
Yeah.
Kind of
so we have different possibilities to catch the contemporary production, let's say. Yeah.
We had an opportunity to get 15 million from European Commission to build a new concert hall in Prishtina, to adopt a former Robna Kuća that was the Grmija famous. I think it was a model that was built by a Macedonian architect almost in every republic. Now, I mean, it has lost the entire design. It doesn't even resemble on the old, which was nice architecture. And it was interesting that I'm making the point because Darko mentioned the collaboration and the similar challenges that are faced by different art fields. And we lost the opportunity that time to build it because there was a division between us, the artists, whether this should be a concert hall or a modern art museum. And until we kind of argued among ourselves, the money went. Well, not spent, but I mean, these technicalities of the IPA funds were passed. But we still managed to somehow, Pristina City Hall managed to push for the project. It was a public institution. It was then handed over legally to the municipality. The competition went on. A Japanese architect won the project. and it is managing to preserve a bit the facade or the outer.
Modernistic architecture.
Kind of modernistic, but keeping the image, and hopefully we will have it after 2-3 years.
What will be inside?
A concert hall. This is like dedicated for a concert hall. Unless now we have local elections and maybe the new mayor wants to change the decision, so we don't know. But I mean, I wanted to ask to make a parallel and to use it as a reference that one can build an event where every art can be hosted.
Yeah, I mean, this building was almost 200 years old. It was inside sugar mill factory, a small army barrack house, then refugee space, beginning of 20th century for literature, people who have been there inside with economic problems, poverty house in general. 40 years not used at all, so it have had amazing history of different occupations. But at the end, we succeeded to do that. I mean, it's really enormous, about 355 windows in the building. And outside, it's completely old. I mean, the facade is remained like it was, refurbished, of course. But inside, you have completely new architecture, who is hanging from the roof. So you have this kind of parallel, you know, remembering something from the past, but still not be anymore a sugar factory, but maybe art factory. So, in a way, this was idea, you know, in general. But like you said before, I mean, how to persuade politicians, and this is always the major task, you know. Like in America, United States, they don't have Ministry of Culture. There, like Darko was saying, there you must persuade Rockefeller, but you must persuade somebody to give you possibility to create, especially for new infrastructure. But I must emphasize that the easiest way is to build walls. After, to pay and to run the content, this is the major part. I mean, afterwards. Like, you know, Darko now is building a new venue of open air theater, but then, you know.
We have to fill it.
Yeah, you got to fill, and to have the audience and all together, yeah. Somebody else, maybe to add something, Tibor.
Thank you. I have a question concerning this new venue of Cukrarna. So for how long ahead are you planning the programming? Perhaps you mentioned that, but we were a bit late. So do you have like a period for which you are planning ahead, or is it just annually? How is it going?
I mean, in general, we have every year the plan for the public money. I mean, every year is a tender for a new public money transfer, what program you're doing. But of course, we need to plan it in advance for much longer period, because you must have in mind the vision of the context, the art or the content you are showing. Like Tibor is saying, I mean, they have, for example, every year a season which is in conceptual way dedicated to some structure or to some questions or whatever. We also, you know, have in mind that we must show the people the reality of domestic culture content, art content, and of course international one. This is very crucial, that we mix international concepts with domestic one in a way that maybe curators will come from outside to see contemporary artworks of domestic artists. That we have this kind of maybe artists in residence showing process, mutual cooperation, that we show different projects which correspond to the topic we want to succeed to follow. I mean, and this is not possible in every year run, but we must do it in let's say, conceptually long-term project. Of course, like it is, because art is corresponding, contemporary art is corresponding very much in the area of nowadays living, you know. I don't want to be brutal, but Me Too or Black Lives Matters, it corresponds a lot that in some museums or galleries they engaged women for curators or black people for curators, and this is sometimes just fashion, not really a strong idea. I'm not against Black Lives Matter or Me Too, but in general we must be careful that fashion do not actualize too many of our concepts. Maybe you can add something.
I mean, you have to stick with your strategy, right? I mean, we are obliged to make a 5-year strategy, each institution, and some of the goals in there. I mean, I'm trying to understand this document as not something necessary for the financiers, but something that helps me. And let's say we wanted to collaborate with a young and very talented director, and we knew that at some point we will need him to be presented in international context. And we were negotiating, we were negotiating with the Austrian festival for 3 years. I mean, not negotiating. We had to go there every year, meet the directors, have a drink with them, but they always said, okay, not next year, maybe in 2 years, but we, you know, because it was something in our strategy, we were really persistent in it. And this year we had a premiere of his performance in Austria, which was in a way a success for us. But I think, yeah, these 5-year strategies, which is part of our legislation system, is not something, well, I have to do it. No, you really can dedicate to it, because, you know, at the end of the 5 year, I just take my pen and go, we did that, we did that, we did that, and at the end you're proud. You're proud that you managed to achieve, let's say, 70 or 80% of your goals. Yeah. So it's a 5-year planning in a way, and for international co-productions, I would say 2 or 3 years in advance. And if you want to book a big star, again, sometimes it's 5 years. Yeah.
Work mainly with festivals of music, no? Mainly. So for you is this quite well known, but in general I think that, you know, how to orientate the festival or the idea, it's good to have what do you want to achieve in 5 years, you know, or 4 or 5 years. What kind of audience you create, what kind of magic you want to create, what kind of public awareness in general. I mean, and of course the quality role, it's really important, like we said both before.
I'm sorry. I wanted to ask Tibor about the European funds. I mean, what is your experience? We here in the festivals, at least us from Chopin Piano Fest Prishtina, I also think also Albania, we are so grateful that we are part of this first almost networking or regional kind of project in the fields of classical music. Also in being connected and having the opportunity to learn from the established festivals like Ljubljana, Belgrade, Kotor and Dubrovnik. We are still in the, you know, like beginning steps. And but what I also think, before asking you for how to and how many, because I just saw last week there was a similar project, but it resembled more like for platforms, for established platforms for 12 countries. Necessarily it was 12, but it was exactly the same format as we are having now with the Synergy project. Focusing on exchange of young musicians, on composers. It only wanted 12 countries to be connected. And how is your opportunity? How easy is to access these funds? And sometimes it takes like the big brother, for example, like Slovenia has to apply, and then some other smaller countries and festivals can benefit from that.
Well, most of the big ones, I mean, Pro Helvetia, GT Coproductions, Font, and so on, they all have tenders. Every year they have tenders, and they all have programs that tend to promote their artists. That's it. I mean, it's the mobility of artists, it's the main cultural agenda, so they all support that, yeah? I mean, the big brother is needed, yeah, when you need to convince that your project is the right project, yeah? And it's up to our creative team to imagine or create a story that you think it could be good for them, yeah? But they all have yearly tenders or tenders every 2 times per year. Also, the main companies in Slovenia for sponsorship and donating, they have tenders. So you apply each year, and every 3rd year you succeed. That's it. You just have to do it all the time. Yeah. I mean, as I said, these funds for our theater are not big. Yeah, but if at the end of the day, this is like 30% of the production needed. This is a lot. Yeah, this is a lot. Yeah.
So, thank you. Are there any more questions? No. We have surprise even for Blaž. There is a question there. Please.
Hello. I wanted to ask you, how many employees will you have in the new hall permanently employed?
Yeah, you must know that our institution is Museum and Galleries of Ljubljana, so we have a museum. Besides museum, we have Plečnik House, City Art Gallery, Jakopič Gallery, Žigalica Gallery, so smaller spaces, really smaller spaces, which has all together, and some archaeological department. We have about 58 people till now. Now it will be 12 new employees in the new building. Beside that, it will be quite a lot of freelance engagement also, because we will not need technician for some performance every day or for some concert, so we will make this kind of so we will pick up the people who are already collaborating with us, but they will not be on regular payment, and there will be a lot of students, because we have a special program for students. They are going through educational system about 2-3 months in our institution. So afterwards they can also make a guide tour. They can be in help guiding some positions in the museum or in gallery. So this is really a commitment of different scale, because we want to create also the awareness of the people or the students or our helpers that they are part of this institution, you know. Not only the employees, but also the other, which is some way of commitment, and they will come back later. after they will not work anymore with us, which is also important, with their families and so on. So this is kind of educational backup for the future for our visitors.
Yeah, I was looking for something because not only Blaž gets his new house, I mean, he has already a new house, our is falling apart, but our theater is also based in a Plečnik building, a historical Plečnik building, which was supposed to be at least a circle, but it's only a half. So what we have a plan, my optimistic scenario is it will be finished till 2026. They will finish the circle, and yeah, actually our theater will move to these new places with 3 new venues, and the remaining venues that we are there, we will try to give them to some underdeveloped art practices. For example, contemporary dance in Slovenia doesn't have their own venue. They don't have their own organization and so on there, and practice rooms and everything. So we will move to the new part of the building, and these 2 venues that we are in will, stay for some other art practices.